All right, thanks for hopping on NCSA Live. Happy Tuesday to those on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever platform you're watching us on. We appreciate you hopping on. This is Kyle Winters, one of our recruiting managers. I'm David Kmiecik, here to talk with you all about the recruiting process and hopefully help educate your family on steps that you as a student athlete or your student athlete can be taken to successfully navigate this process.
Multimedia. We are
all over
so
the place.
Across platforms right now.
We're going worldwide.
Worldwide, NCSA.
Prestige.
Worldwide.
As always, we encourage you guys to participate. So any questions you have, whatever platform you're watching us on, throw a question down there at the bottom, whether it be about the topic we start off talking about or anything that you want us to answer. We like tough questions. We like being challenged. So bring it on.
Bring it. We need it.
All right, so we're going to start talking today just about highlight videos, skills videos, the importance of video in the recruiting process. So Kyle, I guess let's first off start with what is a highlight video, what is a skills video, then we can dive into how it's so important in recruiting.
Yeah, think of back in the day, probably more the adults, some of the parents might remember an And One mixtape.
Oh yeah?
That's a throwback, huh?
I don't have one of those.
You don't have one of those? I don't either, and nor should I.
Nor should you.
But a highlight video, it's really not that crazy. It's pretty simple when you think about it. Most high schools, for most sports, they're going to videotape their games, their matches. They're going to have some sort of platform like a huddle where they're capturing each game. They're going to do their own film review. I do remember in high school playing basketball and having film reviews, and most of it being about, hey, Winters, what were you doing here? What were going through your head?
Just put your arms up tall. Be tall.
That's what they said.
Be
Just
tall.
Don't move around a whole lot.
Be tall.
Be tall. Stand in the way.
You knew your role.
And then people just like throw me around like a rag doll. I was just like a little 6'4", 130-pound.
Wow. 130 pounds?
That's probably like 150 at that point.
Okay. But highlight videos. So, highlight video is ultimately going to be exactly what it sounds like. Highlights of yourself as a student athlete, right? So, whatever the sport is, you want to get together 3 to 4 to 5 minutes of footage that's really showing you off as an athlete of whatever sport you're playing, so that coaches can have something to really evaluate your good from, right? They want to see what do you do really well, and is that something as a coach I'm going to be interested in wanting to bring onto my program?
Yeah, and with that video, the main key is that you're going to want to capture that coach's attention right away. You're going to want your best clips right up front where you're going to get that coach drawn into the video right from the get-go. A lot of stats out there talk about how coaches just make a decision, make a determination whether or not they're going to recruit this student athlete based on the first 15, maybe 30 seconds of a video. They're going to decide, am I going to watch another minute, 2 minutes of this, or am I going to turn this off and move on to the next one? So get that coach's attention, put your best plays up front, then you can show a little diversity from there and mix it up with the different skills that you have as well as a player.
Yeah, so if you're a basketball player, that was my sport, so it's easy for me to talk it. You don't want to just show 20 clips of you hitting catch and shoot three-pointers. Coaches want to see your versatility. They want to see you drive into the bucket. They want to see you defending. They want to see your athleticism, your ability to pass the ball. So again, the different skill sets that you bring to the floor, to the field, whatever sport you're playing, they want to see that versatility. But Jeff Wilson, who's one of our recruiting specialists, was a former collegiate coach at hockey level, said in the first 30 seconds, I knew if I was interested in that kid or if I was flipping to the next highlight video. So like Kyle said, you want your best stuff to be at the front. You don't want your first 3 highlights of a basketball video to be you shooting 3 free throws.
Yeah.
Not going to do it. Not going to do it for that coach.
You can put that monster dunk right up front.
Right
Get that backboard breaking dunk right up there at the very beginning. Then don't put 15 more dunks after that. They're like, okay, we got it. You can dunk.
You're athletic. What else can you do?
What else can you do?
Yeah, and the reason highlight videos and we'll talk about skills videos here are so important, but so much of recruiting starts online these days, like everything else we do, right? When coaches go to look up a student athlete, they're not just going to the game evaluating them live in person. They want to see a highlight video first to evaluate that athlete, to say, okay, based on this individual's film, I want to see more of this individual. We use the analogy, it's like a movie trailer, right? You have 2 minutes to see a movie trailer, and that 2 minutes needs to either hook you to go see the whole movie, or you're thinking, nah, I don't want to see that one. Let's see the next movie trailer. So very similar kind of comparison there.
Yeah, for coaches, that you can think about it from their perspective. There are hundreds of thousands of athletes out there they don't have time to just go out to high school games, to even just go out to like an AAU tournament or go out to a football game and just hope they're going to run across a good player that, a good player is just going to happen to stand out. So as a student athlete, one of the old adages is that if you're good enough, coaches will find you. That's really not necessarily the case these days. Coaches have to pick and choose with their time who they're going to go watch in person. A lot of that is decided from a highlight video. So if you're a good player, you're going to need to drive coaches to come watch you play. Video is the best place to start. It's a lot easier for a coach to sit there looking through 50, 60 recruiting videos in an hour versus driving out to an AAU tournament where there's 300 teams and just hoping they happen to see a good player.
Right. So great question here from Patricia that we were going to touch on. She beat us to the punch. But in terms of when to start collecting video, ultimately they want to see video of you competing against high level. So they're not going to be necessarily as interested in seeing freshman versus freshman team highlight videos. They want to see that higher level of play. They want to see the club. They want to see the travel level, or ideally they want to see varsity. So in terms of when to start a video or when to start that highlight process, the earlier the better, but ultimately coaches are going to want to see you competing against the high level of competition.
So you're saying they don't want to see my YMCA rec level game?
I don't want to see your parking lot games. I don't want to see your driveway games.
We run a
mean
mean 2-3 zone, David.
Yeah, no, they don't want to see that.
2-3 zone.
I know
get up in that high post.
We do 1-3-1 with my 7th graders. So
that's too complex. We can't do
that. You want to trap and pressure.
We can't do that. But yeah, just getting it started, it's going to be varsity footage. It's going to be AAU travel club footage for the sports where coaches are looking for highlight video. Those are going to be the big keys, playing against the highest competition level that you possibly can. So if there are no travel, if there is no club in your area, then they're going to want to see varsity footage. Right. If you're playing varsity and playing club, they're going to want to see both. If there's just, if there's no high school team, club's all you have, club's going to be what's going to be. So whatever the highest level you have, that's going to be what coaches want to see from you.
Right, because at the collegiate level, you're playing against high level of competition. They don't want to see you playing against kids that don't even belong on the field or on the court or whatever the case is. So again, get high level competition. We will touch on skills video, so some sports are a little bit different. Baseball, softball, golf, even tennis in some cases. Coaches aren't always wanting to see a full baseball game to evaluate you. They want to see more of what a skills video is. So a skills video is a little bit different. I know you, as a former baseball player, as a retired travel softball coach, know a little bit about the skills video aspect.
Yeah, for sports like baseball and softball, it's hard for a coach to look at one swing and say, hey, that's a kid who's really good. I mean, there's some that stand out for sure, but it's hard to watch in-game footage of a student athlete in baseball, softball, see one play, one pitch, couple plays, couple pitches, couple swings, whatever it may be, and determine they're going to recruit student athletes. So when it comes to sports like baseball and softball, they want a little bit more of a controlled scenario, so more of a skills video that's going to be either on a field where you're taking batting practice or in a cage taking batting practice. For pitchers, it's more of like bullpen footage, just showcasing your mechanics, showcasing your pitches. Coaches are looking to get a better idea of what your consistent swing, what your consistent mechanics look like. That's how they're going to determine a lot of your projectability and what you can potentially turn into moving forward.
Yeah, and for all these sports, if you go to our website, ncsasports.org, we have very detailed information about what to include in a highlight video, even if you're filming a volleyball match yourself, where to shoot the video, what coaches are looking for. So again, check out our website, ncsasports.org. Golf, they're looking for more of a swing video, so you can do it like at a practice range. It doesn't have to be you actually out in a tournament.
Can be, but it doesn't need to be.
Can be. For tennis, they may want to see a match, obviously, but they may want to see more of a skills video of 10 straight serves, 10 straight volleys, backhands, attacks of the net, the different skill sets there. So again, if you have any questions individually about your sport, our website has a bunch of information, but ultimately that video is really going to be a lot of times the first way a college coach is going to evaluate a student athlete.
It's really the best way to get your foot in the front door for a college coach, because reaching out to a coach is great, emailing a coach is great, having a profile for a coach to see some of your background, your stats, your schedule, your transcript, those things are all great, but it doesn't necessarily tell that coach what type of player you are. The video is going to tell much more of a tale than any sort of stats, because the stats can be very deceiving depending on your competition, where you're playing, the level of play. There's a lot of different factors that go into that. Video really doesn't lie.
How about some don'ts with video?
Don'ts with video.
Music. College coaches don't care that you're favorite song is the new Meek Mill song. They don't want to
I don't know who
hear.
that is.
He's a rapper.
I was going to say Ja Rule. No Ja Rule?
It's 2019, right?
We'll nix the Ja Rule
Just
too.
making sure. But they don't want to hear Ja Rule.
I don't know why not.
That was the best you had, Ja Rule.
Yeah. Was there better?
They don't want to see music. They don't want to hear music in it. So keep the sound off. For like a football player, if you're an offensive lineman, they need to know who you are. Right? There's 5 guys on the offensive line. Which one are you? So that's where having the ability to like spot shadow or put an arrow on the person. Our video department does a great job with that. So again, if you're looking for help getting a highlight video put together, led by our mastermind Aaron Gronke, they do a phenomenal job putting those videos together and helping sequence the right plays. So those are some of the main things. And a lot of times people will put like an introductory, here's who I am, and a slate up and that stuff, which is nice to have, but certainly not necessary. The ultimate goal for your video is you ultimately want to get that onto your NCSA profile. So it's going to have all that information. It's going to have your transcripts, your stats, your grades, all that schedule, all the stuff that coaches are looking for. So when a coach is in our network and they're looking at your profile, they can boom, watch that video and really begin to evaluate you.
Yeah, even now, just if I'm pulling up a baseball video, softball video, if I'm going to evaluate a player and see what they look like as a player, if there's a title card, if there's an introduction, if they're talking about themselves at the beginning, I'm going to fast forward. College coaches are going to do the same. Again, it goes back to their amount of time that they have available. They don't necessarily want to sit there watching introductions and your slide reel about everything, all your extracurriculars at the beginning of your highlight video.
Sure. And again, for the younger student athletes, for 8th graders, freshman, sophomore, coaches know that you're not a finished product. It's something that we hear quite a bit from parents. Well, my son's only a freshman. He's not fully grown. He's not at his peak level. Yet coaches get that, right? When they're evaluating kids, they know that there's going to be growth, there's going to be development, they're going to get bigger, they're going to get stronger. So having that video and being able to even at times show coaches kind of the 6 month trend improvement that a student athlete is putting into place can often be beneficial more than it's going to maybe hurt a student athlete.
Yeah, you really
talk about that with baseball.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. I mean, it's really about a progression when it comes to a lot of sports, especially like baseball. You're not a finished product as a freshman in high school. You're going to get better. You're going to develop. Same thing goes for going into college. Right. If you're going into college, a college coach doesn't expect that you're going to be the same player senior year as you are freshman year. So there's a hesitation with some that they think that I don't want my student athlete to get out in front of coaches now because maybe they'll write him off. Maybe they won't want to look at him anymore. At the end of the day, most coaches aren't necessarily looking for that. They're not looking to see what he is now. They want to develop. They want to show the development. They want to know that they're going to bring in someone who's gotten better over these last 4 years.
Sure.
So that they're going to get better over the next 4 years as well. It shows their work ethic.
I got a question here from Becky about track, and we can kind of add swimming to this as well. In those sports, video is more of a nice to have than a must. Really, the times, the distances are going to be the biggest things that college coaches are looking for. Now, a coach certainly may want to evaluate somebody's breaststroke, or they may want to evaluate their high jump skill to see, all right, what are areas that I might be able to work with them. But in those sports, videos are more of a nice to have than a must have.
Yeah, it's a good addition. It's not necessarily going to be a make or break situation. I think most coaches know that they can work with a student athlete on those different strokes or work with them on their stride, some small mechanical issues, some of those types of things. But at the end of the day, if you're fast, you're fast. And they can see that with the time. They can see that with what your numbers look like at the end of the season, your progression through a season. So those are going to be a much bigger factor.
So again, any individual questions about a certain sport, again, jot us a line. We'll be more than happy to reach out to you individually, but our website, ncsasports.org, has a ton of information. I think the other important thing with video is not just having video and posting it and hoping that people see it, but it's what to do with that video once you have it put together.
Yeah, I talked a little bit earlier about reaching out to college coaches and emailing them and having a profile. Those things are all key. Putting it all together into one is really going to be the biggest key for a student athlete. Having that profile where they can see your transcript, your GPA, the test scores, where they have your stats, schedule, all that, in addition to the video, one-stop shop for college coaches, and then really being proactive for that, not waiting around hoping that coaches are going to see your video, but being proactive to get it out in front of college coaches in a network like NCSA versus throwing it up on YouTube and hoping a coach finds it, or throwing it up on Huddle and just hoping that a coach happens to come across it. It's just not very realistic with how many student athletes there are out there these days.
Right. So again, I think it's important that if you're updating your video every 6 months, if you're again a basketball athlete, you're doing it after the high school season, after the AAU season, send those updates, send that updated video out. Again, if you're getting stronger, if you're getting better, if your videos look better, you need coaches to be aware of that. So don't just post it, again, and hope that a coach is going to find it. Get on your NCSA profile, start sending that out to schools that you've either already had some relationships built with, or some coaches that you're maybe trying to get that attention to. Again, don't just put the video together, put it online, and say, all right, we're done. Coaches are going to find it, and we'll be good to go. If you do a random YouTube search and search high school football highlight videos and see how many pages of stuff pop up. So again, coaches aren't doing that and just hoping to discover a kid and waste 4 hours looking through videos of kids that are going to be a waste of their time.
Yeah, similarly, don't just post a video freshman year and not post another video. Like David said, it's going to be a lot about being able to update coaches moving forward. The one other thing we didn't really touch upon is with sports, there are going to come injuries. People are going to get hurt, and that's one of the things that we've talked with a lot of families about is they get to junior year and suddenly they have an unfortunate injury, and it's tough. It's incredibly difficult for a student athlete. If you guys don't have any video leading up to that point, you don't necessarily have anything to show college coaches moving forward from there. You have to wait until you're 6 months, a year recovered from that. In some cases, that may be too late. So if you have video going up to that, several different videos throughout that whole process, you're going to be in a much better place for when you come back because you can show them your body of work before the injury.
Last thing we should talk about that I think is a good point is some coaches will want a full game video as well, right? Obviously your highlight video is going to be what you do well, but coaches will want to evaluate what did you do when you got beat on that play, or what did you do when you allowed that goal. Whatever the case is, some coaches will request a full game video, a full quarter, a full period, a full match, whatever the case is. So it's good to have that highlight video. Again, that's what coaches will often use to first evaluate you. But then if they don't get a chance to come out and see you play in person, they may ask for 40 minutes of a soccer match to really evaluate. So have that full game footage available as well.
Yeah, for the initial video, you don't necessarily need to show your fallibility. Coaches know that you're not a perfect player. Yeah, I said fallibility. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Coaches know that you're going to make mistakes, so they want to see that initial highlight video to see what you can do well. And the backup video, the full-length video, is going to be, like David said, more showing how you react to bad plays, how you recover, some of those types of more nitty-gritty.
Cool. So we get some questions rolling in here. So again, if you have any questions, whatever platform you're on, jot them down there. Adam wants to know, is it okay to send a video of an athlete performing electronically timed 40-yard dash, shuttle, etc., for coaches to see legit times? I think we can relate that to baseball and softball with home to first, some other sports that have maybe some of those measurables that are important. What are your thoughts on getting video of that to show the legitimacy of a time?
Yeah, that's definitely helpful as well. I mean, a coach can just sit there and use a stopwatch on that video as well for themselves to get their own time. You can show the electronic times. Those are good. Again, those are good things to have. Those aren't going to be necessarily make or breaks of whether or not a student athlete gets recruited, though they will showcase student athlete's speed and their explosiveness, some of those additional intangibles that maybe don't necessarily come through with a highlight video. So those are good things to have, but don't rely just on that.
Michelle commenting on softball videos, again, the skills video really is what college coaches are looking for. So don't worry about the fact that high schools aren't recording softball games. Again, as someone who worked in the video field for a while and shot numerous baseball and softball games, it's hard. It's really hard to follow a ball going from the pitcher to the, it's just a lot of busy work that's wasting your time. So again, that's where a skills video can be helpful. You can knock it out in an hour on a weekend, get some friends of your daughter and put it together.
Use your cell phone.
Kyle just did it with his younger sister.
My youngest sister. Yeah, we would use a cell phone. We'd use a tablet. We would go find an hour at a park. We'd go to the batting cage and just videotape her from a couple different angles, do a few different rounds. Bang, bang, boom.
She's
pretty easy.
Playing college.
She's
softball
playing in college.
That video.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Not a video question, but a good one here. CJ wants to know, have you seen good athletes that struggled with their grades turn it around in their junior and senior year and still get recruited?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could talk about my youngest sister a little bit in that sense, not to kind of call her out, but her first year, 2 years in high school, she really didn't do all that well. She wasn't necessarily taking care of business the way she should have in the classroom, but very much was able to turn it around the last couple years and had opportunities to go play at four-year schools, ended up opting to go to a two-year school. But she absolutely got a wide variety of opportunities after being able to turn her grades around second half of high school.
Cool. Kickers, punters for football. Ideally, you want to maybe have both. If there's not a great opportunity of your son kicking a 50-yard field goal in a game, but he can do that, you certainly want to have in-game footage, but you can still have like a skills video for football when it comes to kicking and punting. That might be probably the one kind of asterisk, I guess, in terms of football. But yeah, if your son doesn't get opportunities to kick 50-yard field goals in games, but is capable of knocking them down in a practice, that can certainly be put on a video for coaches to see. We talked about this a little bit, but how often should, this is Travis, his daughter, update her skills video if she's a freshman?
If she's a freshman, I think it's probably pretty similar. I mean, a little bit depends on how much she's developing at that point. As a freshman, she could be pretty close to all the way developed, because women develop a little bit earlier than men in most cases. But she could still be at a point where she's going to grow 6 more inches. So if she's showing large gains, if she's getting that much better over the course of a month or over the course of 2 months, show those updates. Right. If she's staying kind of similar over that time, she's not making huge gains, you can probably hold off for another 6 months. But it's going to be somewhat individualized when it comes to those updates for a freshman in high school.
Right. Same thing with like basketball, right? If basketball season's around the corner here, if your son or daughter all of a sudden kills it in November, you may not want to wait till the end of the season to update a video. You may want to get a new one together in December to get that updated during the season. So stuff to certainly think about there. For soccer, again, it's going to be very specific to that individual's position. I know it's not probably the sexiest highlight video to see a defenseman knocking balls away and doing what
clears
what
are good.
They do, but again, that's what college coaches want to see from certain positions. Obviously, for the strikers, the more offensive-minded players, they're going to want to see crosses and headers and goals and some of the better stuff at the net. Goalkeepers, you can kind of keep your camera on the goalie the whole time and get some of that information. So again, soccer is just a little bit tougher because there isn't as much scoring and goals as other sports where that stuff's constantly happening. But again, whatever your son or daughter's position is, you want to highlight the skill sets of that position.
Yeah, and goalkeepers for soccer, they can do a little bit of skills video as well. That's acceptable for coaches to show some of their mechanics for sure.
Sure. Question here from Lissa. My senior son was injured 3rd game of the season ending. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully he is okay or better. We're still trying to get recruited. They have film from the first 3 games. Should he include a statement on his injury in the film?
So I wouldn't necessarily in the film, right. But if you're going to be sending this film out to a coach, obviously you're going to be sending it most likely in an email. Within that email, it's probably something that you want to preface. Maybe give them a timetable, let them know what happened, let them know recovery, what that may look like, because it's going to come out eventually. Right. It doesn't necessarily mean that coach is going to write your son off right away, but it's something that could be more beneficial to be upfront about.
Cool. Question here for the quality of video, which is something great that we didn't really touch on. So Aaron wants to know, I have some video clips of my daughter's volleyball games, but they're taken on my cell phone and not from a perfect angle or not ideal quality. I would say if it's something where that coach or even you can't really tell what your daughter's doing or the impressive play that she made, you probably want to avoid on that. So quality of video is important. If it's out of focus, if it's blurry, if it's, you can't see anything on the court, you want to try to avoid that stuff and try to get, the best angle and again, some of that stuff that coaches are looking for as possible.
Yeah, if you're in dire straits and this is the last shot you have to get video and this is all you have, you can use it, but ideally you're going to want to get a little bit better angle and something that's hopefully sitting a little bit more still for something like volleyball.
Sure. Question about raw footage versus highlight videos. How often this is specific to volleyball, but we can do coaches in general, want raw footage as opposed to highlights?
So we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, and when it comes to the raw footage, it's tough. Coaches don't have time necessarily to watch a 30-minute video. They don't have time to watch an entire set or a match for that matter. So they're going to want to start with a highlight video typically. Unless they're specifically asking for a full game, full match. That's typically what's going to happen, is they're going to see a highlight video and say, okay, great, can you send me a full set? Can you send me a full match so I can watch the entirety of it and see what you look like in all these different situations?
Yeah, again, if I'm a college coach, I'm not going to just watch a raw game and then in volleyball your daughter doesn't get a touch until the 12th point and I've wasted 10 minutes watching stuff that's not important to me, right? So the highlight video, again, is often going to be the first thing coaches are looking for, but again, to really get a true evaluation of the players' all-around abilities, their full kind of gamut of them as an athlete, that's where that full game footage is going to come into play.
Yeah, that's huge.
One last question here, and then we'll kind of put a bow on it. So Troy wants to know, his son's in 8th grade. This is for baseball or basketball and football, excuse me. So he started saving video highlights already of every game. Should we send them with a skills video? We make it practice, or how does that work? So again, for football and basketball, coaches are going to want to see highlight footage. Again, for basketball, for football, the 1-on-0 drills really aren't that great. There's a joke if you're a deep basketball person like me. Danny's going to remember this name.
I can't wait.
Yilin Jin, the former Bucks big man, the guy from China.
Looks like you're just talking to a wall.
There's Danny sitting down over here. I swear I'm just talking to a random person. But there was footage of him that was getting sent out to NBA teams of him like competing against a chair because like he was just doing drills.
Because that's what players looked like against him.
7
he
foot
made them look like chairs.
And pretty skilled. So he went like 6th overall and then did nothing in the NBA because he hadn't played real competition.
Because he'd only played against chairs.
And so his nickname became the Chairman, which is great. The Chairman.
I mean, I could probably dunk on a chair.
Standing on a chair or?
Against a chair, both. Standing on a chair against a chair.
But again, football, basketball, again, the drill stuff really doesn't matter. The workout videos, right? Anyone can be strong and look good in a gym, but they want to see how you are when you put the pads on. You're going 11-on-11 or 5-on-5 on the court. So again, save that highlight footage that you're starting to take. That's going to be important.
You can't bench press touchdowns.
We've got one more question. Let's get one more in here. Cool. It's a baseball question. So Jim's son is a freshman at a JUCO, junior college. He's a baseball player. Is it too early for him to send emails to 4-year schools since his spring baseball season has not yet started? So again, for the junior college route, junior colleges you can play at for a max of 2 years. And then for those individuals looking to transfer to a 4-year school, they're ultimately going through the recruiting process twice. Once as a high school athlete to get to the junior college, and then once as a junior college athlete to try to get to a 4-year school. So when is too early for a JUCO to start getting information out to 4-year schools?
Yeah, it depends a little bit, but I would say there's no such thing in this case as too early. Again, especially if he's looking to transfer to a 4-year school after this season, he's not going to want to wait until the end of this coming up season or even the middle of this season to say, okay, I'm going to start reaching out to coaches, because coaches are maybe at that point no longer looking for transfers. They're maybe no longer looking for that class. So there's not going to be any harm in you guys starting to put together, especially for baseball, putting together skills video showing updates, because I'm assuming he's better now than he was maybe 6-8 months ago in his senior high school season. My sister's a softball player in college right now, and she needs to start reaching out to coaches now. That's what I'm going to tell her next time I see her for Thanksgiving, is start reaching out to coaches, get new video out to them, because it's not going to hurt. It's only going to help you to get more exposure at this point, and then update them as you go into the season.
Cool. Awesome. You want to ring the bell?
Ring the bell.
All right, so for those that are new to this, we do a Ring the Bell segment where we shout out some of our recent commits. The ringing of the bell is internally at NCSA something we do to signify the commitments of student athletes, to congratulate them and kind of pat ourselves in the back for hopefully helping them out in this process. So first and foremost, we have Anna and Emma Henderson, who are actually 2021 high school grads, so they're juniors, but they've already made their decision, committed to the University of Iowa. So again, the recruiting process is extremely sped up in a lot of female sports, softball certainly being one of them. Briley Morgan, out of Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee.
Beautiful.
Verbally committed and will be signing, I'm assuming, shortly here with Rowan State, which is a community college in Tennessee. It's a new volleyball program.
Montana to Tennessee.
No, Tennessee to Tennessee.
Tennessee to Tennessee, yeah. Okay.
A lot of Tennessee people today. And this is another Tennessee athlete, Jimmy McHorn from Mount Juliet, Tennessee, committing to Trine University Division III program in Indiana. We recently had a female soccer player as well commit to Trine University. Dad had some really great things to say about NCSA. So congratulations. Again, if you're not following us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, we have all these great updates about the student athletes and what they've been able to accomplish and the commitments they have. So whatever platform you have, we have. So follow us, get some information, continue to get yourself educated on the recruiting process.
I'm pretty sure we can get the rights to the song "You Can Ring My Bell."
Probably not.
No, you don't think so?
By the way,
I think that'd be a great addition.
You're digging deep into these '90s hip hop and R&B songs.
I mean, that is straight like 1970s,
we need
early
to introduce
80s
you
there.
to some like 2019
I'm just not. I'm not hip.
Some trap music.
I'm not with it.
Next week, Kyle is going to be joined by Danny Koenig, who I was pointing to, who is actually sitting there, not just a figment of my imagination. One of our senior recruiting coordinators, Division I swimmer, collegiate coach at the swimming level. These two guys will be on next week to talk about the signing period. So for those of you who don't know, next Wednesday kicks off national signing period, where the 2020 graduates who have already made their commitments will actually be signing their national letter of intents. All sports except for football, which has two different signing periods, one in December and one again in February. So Danny and Kyle are going to break down what is signing period, what does it entail, how does it work, again with it being a big time in a lot of seniors,
Process.
futures for kind of putting the paper to pen and getting that stress off their shoulders and knowing the work that they put in paid off. So again, tune in next Tuesday, again 2 p.m. Central Time in CSA Live. We're back here every week to educate, entertain, and to listen to Kyle make really ridiculous musical comments about 1990 songs.
Might turn into me karaokeing every Tuesday.
Oh, that sounds terrible. But that could be a funny segment. Yeah. So thanks for hopping on. We'll see you guys back here next Tuesday. Ja Rule.
Gotta love the Ja Rule.